Hi there, today I'm doing another weekly update where I'm talking about my progress using the Steak and Butter Gang's Feasting and Fasting program. I'm not sure whether my body is releasing more histamine when I'm fasting, and as I'm fasting, over time, it's actually getting worse and getting higher, or whether it's food that I'm eating when I break my fast and having things like coffee. So hi there, my name is Sue. If you've not visited my channel before, I have been on the carnivore diet for 2 years, and I am now following the Steak and Butter Gang's Feasting and Fasting program, and have been since about the middle of May, so that's about 3 weeks. And I'm doing weekly updates just to see where I'm at. So before I get started, I just want to remind everyone who normally watches my videos, and to let you know if you don't normally watch my videos, that I am considering setting up a community, and I'm asking for feedback about that. And so my thought is that if I can create a community where people can come together and just chat about all things to do with carnivore, keto diet, basically meat-based diet, and in particular for people who have struggled with this way of eating. So those who, like myself, have had gut issues, histamine issues, a lack of weight loss, and where things don't quite go as easily as we might hope they will. I thought that it might be great to have a community for people like that, in particular, where we can kind of learn from each other's experiences and provide a bit of guidance where necessary, because I know that I have sure learned a lot in the last 2 years. So if that's something that sounds good to you, I will pop a link below the video where you can go and fill in my form. I've just got a form there just asking for your name, your email address, and any suggestions or ideas. And that way, if I decide to go ahead, or when I decide to go ahead with this community, I can let you know that I'm actually launching it and what's happening with it, okay? So if you do that, thank you very much. Now, let's get on with my update. So where am I at? So as I said, I think it's about week 3 of my actual fasting side of things. I actually rejoined the Steak and Butter Gang at the beginning of May. I was in there for 2 months back in 2022, and I've spoken about that in my last couple of videos. But I finally kind of thought that it seemed that maybe my gut health and everything was in a good enough place to actually have a go at this feasting and fasting, because I ended up stopping the first time because I just couldn't do it, just due to my gut health and the way things were going. So I started late because I had some family stuff going on at the beginning of May, and once that was all kind of done and dusted, then I got stuck in and I did 3 days of priming, and then I started on the fasting protocol. Now, I started on level 2 because I've been on carnivore for 2 years, and I kind of figured that I didn't need probably too much in the way of priming, and I was right there because 3 days was definitely enough. And my fasting's been going really well until this week. So what happened was I've been doing the different fasts following the calendar, basically, and I think there was a roll of maybe 4 basically alternate day fasting at the end of the May calendar. And so what that entailed was basically fasting for 32 to 42 hours, and then eating 2 meals, and then fasting again for another 32 or 42 hours, and then eating another 2 meals, and same again until you've done that 4 times. And that kind of brought me to the end of the calendar. Now, at the end of the calendar, normally what happens, if you go by the calendar, is that there's 3 days of eating 2 meals a day, and then you go back into another lot of 5 alternate day fasts, I think it is. And so that was kind of where I was at. I did an extra day, I think it was, on that 3 days, because I wanted to get to a point where I was kind of synced up with the calendar, because it just makes it easy for me to work out where I'm at. And I really wanted to kind of just follow along with the calendar as it is. So I did 4 days of eating, which I think was over last weekend, and then I did a 40-hour fast, and then I ate 2 meals. When I broke my fast, I broke it with poached eggs. So I just had 5 poached eggs, and then I had a decaf with cream straight after the eggs. And then I had another decaf with cream a little bit later on. Now, I think that may have caused a problem. I don't know whether it was that or whether it's just been a little bit too much fasting for my body. I'm not really sure, but what happened was I had the eggs in the coffee, and then I felt really bloated just for a little bit, and then that settled down. Now, this is where I've had problems in the past. If you watch my prior videos, is when I break my fast, quite often, for a long time, when I broke my fast, the food that I ate would go through me within about 15 minutes. And so that was happening when I was with Steak and Butter Gang last time. And even after that, for a long time, even if I just did a 24-hour fast, the food would just go straight through me. I'd be in the toilet within about 10 minutes. Now, that's all kind of settled down. That doesn't happen anymore, but there seems to be a delayed reaction sometimes. And so I've been trying to kind of work out whether it's just that I'm eating too much, whether it's the type of food that I'm eating. I suspect that histamine is playing a big part in what's happening with me, and that's because I've had a lot of histamine issues. I have genetics that affect histamine and the way it's broken down in my body, and so that's something that I'm really kind of mindful of now. I've spoken a lot about histamine in some of my prior videos, and if you want to go back and check that out, I've had rashes and all sorts, and I still have this constant rash up around my collarbone, which kind of comes up and down, and I feel like it's kind of warning me when it comes up that my histamine levels are getting a little bit too high again, So breaking my fast with eggs may not be the best option because the egg whites are high in histamine, and I'm being more mindful to try to make sure that my eggs are cooked properly, those egg whites. But yeah, I'm just wondering whether the eggs are maybe not the best option for me, and maybe it's the amount as well. I had 5 poached eggs. Maybe I should just have a couple and see how that goes. But basically what happened, as I said, is I got really bloated fairly quickly, and then that settled down. And I was like, oh, this is okay. My belly feels fine. And so that was all good. And then a couple of hours later, I decided to have another decaf with cream. Now, the decaf, as I've said in some of my videos, I'm not sure that I should actually be having coffee at all. I generally avoid caffeine because it seems to not agree with me and never has done right since I was very young. And I'm mindful that decaf has a little bit of caffeine in it as well. So I don't know whether that kind of contributed, having the 2 coffees in the afternoon. But what happened was I had all that, and then about 2 hours, I guess, after I'd eaten, I ended up in the toilet, and I was in the toilet a few times. And then kind of things came good. I had a client in later on that afternoon. So I had clients in the morning, then I had a break, and then I had a client later that afternoon, and my belly had been a little bit upset. That's right, my bowel. But that all kind of settled down. I had dinner, and that was all good. And I think I just had some, what did I have? Oh, I had some rumps, basically pressure cooked rump, like a stew type thing, and with a couple of more poached eggs on top of that. And some grated parmesan, maybe not the best choice. But anyway, I had that and some blueberries. And then when we went to bed, I was all good, but I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I couldn't get back to sleep. And so I really didn't get any more sleep that night. And so I only had probably 4.5 hours sleep. So I probably should have, when I look back, I should have stopped my fast when I woke up. I should have broken it then, I think. But I didn't, because I really wanted to do another 40-hour fast, and I was planning on not eating until lunchtime the next day. And so I kind of soldiered on with my fast, and I had clients that morning. So this was yesterday morning, and then we went grocery shopping in the afternoon. And I was hungry. When we went grocery shopping, I was hungry. And by the time we got home, I was absolutely starving. And I was like, I think that I need to actually break my fast. On the way up there, I noticed that I was thinking about eating pumpkin and creamed cauliflower, which are foods that I never since I've been on Carnivore, I never kind of crave anything like that, and yet that's what was on my mind, was thinking about the taste of that and how nice it would be. And that was one of the reasons that I thought, I think I actually need to break this fast, because I don't think it's doing good things for me. So I broke my fast last night and had dinner, and I could not wait for that to cook and to eat. I was so incredibly hungry, and I'm thinking to myself, I shouldn't be, because I've just had 4 days of eating 2 meals a day, and then just one 40-hour fast with 2 good meals, after that. But it felt like my body was not liking what I was doing. And I think that a big part of the problem there has been histamine. I think there's some oxalate dumping. Well, there was oxalate dumping going on. I now know. I was suspecting that earlier in the day yesterday, and because I've had a kind of a bit of a sore knee off and on for maybe a couple of weeks. But when I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, my knee was really sore. And when I got up eventually, about 5:30, I was having trouble walking. My knee was so sore, and my lower back had really been playing up for a couple of days as well. And so I think that sometimes when I'm fasting, I've seen other people talk about this as well, it can actually exacerbate the oxalate dumping, because of course you're not taking any food, so your body's more likely to dump oxalate. And I've done a lot of videos on oxalate dumping and the way that it's actually changing for me as time goes on. And so now it seems to be more kind of muscle and connective tissue pain, some joint pain, but it's more muscle and connective tissue, and that's what's going on in my knee. It's not in the joint itself, it's in the kind of, it feels like it's in the fat, and then the tendons are on the inside of my knee, and then it was kind of radiating around to the front. So I think that there's oxalate dumping going on, but I also really feel that a lot of it's histamine, and histamine and oxalate kind of go hand in hand. They affect each other. But looking at what actually happened, there's a lot of histamine intolerance symptoms in there. So the inability to sleep. So histamine regulates your sleep cycle, and when histamine's out of whack, it can definitely interrupt your sleep. What I did notice when I woke up was that I was really hot. I was hot, just sweating, and couldn't cool down. And I've noticed over the last maybe week or so that that's been happening a little bit. Like, I've been waking up too hot at night time some nights. And so the histamine can affect your temperature regulation as well. The histamine can definitely cause the pain that I was talking about, and definitely exacerbate that because it creates more inflammation in the tissues. And then the hunger as well. So histamine regulates appetite control, and that's something that I've realised over time has been happening with me at times, is that when my histamine's high, I get really, really hungry. And I think this is something that's been going on pretty much all my life, looking back, because, I've had a lot of issues with appetite control and just being hungry and not being able to get enough food in me, and that can absolutely be histamine. People talk about ghrelin and leptin and all the rest of it, which I think have probably been out of whack as well, because my blood glucose and everything was out of whack before I started on the carnivore diet. But the histamine can definitely play a part, and just the way when I watch how my body kind of responds to things, I can kind of tell now that it's histamine that's causing some of that. Now, the other day on the Steak and Butter Gang, so they do Zoom calls each week, and they have guest speakers and different carnivore coaches come in, like Dr. Chafee and Dr. Kiltz and different people, and Rebecca Heischman. So Rebecca Heischman was in this week, and I couldn't get on her call because I had clients that morning, so I typed a question into the chat box for her to answer for me regarding the histamine and fasting, because I've been trying to work out whether histamine is likely to go up when you're fasting or down, and there's conflicting information. So when you have a look, if you do a search online, you'll find some studies that seem to show that histamine goes down when you are fasting regularly, and that fasting can help with to keep histamine levels lower. But then there's also studies that show that histamine can go up. So I was a little bit confused, and I asked Rebecca, because she's worked with a lot of clients through her time, what her thoughts are. And she said to me that when she answered my question, that histamine raises in the area of the liver. She said if you Google that, you'll find out more. So this is information that I had actually come across before. So the mast cells around the liver release histamine when we're fasting, but the histamine that's released there is synthesized into OEA. So OEA is, it's a big long name and I can't remember what it is, but it is synthesized from histamine, and then that goes through the liver and becomes ketone bodies. So that's how our body creates ketones. So whether that histamine is likely to overflow and cause other problems, I don't know. So I'm not really sure still what the story is there. I'm not sure whether my body is releasing more histamine when I'm fasting, and as I'm fasting, over time, it's actually getting worse and getting higher, or whether it's food that I'm eating when I break my fast and having things like coffee. So I'm going to have to experiment and try breaking my fast with different foods. As I said, I think I said in a recent video, in my last week's update maybe, I'm thinking about trying breaking my fast with some psyllium husk first and see if that helps. I haven't tried that yet because I want to experiment with the different foods first. So I thought I might, with my next fast, I'll try breaking my fast with a bit of small amount of red meat or something like that instead of the eggs, and see how that kind of lands, and stay away from the coffee when I break my fast as well, and see what happens, I guess. The other thought that I had, like doing a bit of research into this, is that people with mast cell activation syndrome can have more issues with histamine due to stress. Okay, so stress can cause the mast cells to degranulate and release more histamine, and fasting is a stress. So is that kind of what's going on? Because what it seems like, my husband said this the other day, and I thought he's right, is it seems that when I first start fasting, originally it was a problem all the time, but now, 2 years on, when I start fasting, things are really good, the first week or the first couple of fasts, and then it seems to kind of start going downhill. So I'm wondering if it's just an accumulated stress that is maybe causing my body to start releasing histamine and causing the problem. And so if that's the case, then doing these rolling fasts might not work for me at this point, and I might have to back off a bit and maybe just do, 1 or 2 fasts a week, maybe just do a 48-hour fast once a week for a while and see how that goes, and then kind of take it up from there, which is kind of disappointing because I really wanted to follow their calendar and see what I could do with my weight, because I know the whole weight thing isn't the biggest issue. My health is the biggest issue, and that it always is, but the weight is part of that. Having too much body fat is part of the problem with all of this. So it's kind of chicken or egg scenario sort of thing, and I guess I'm just getting a bit impatient as well, and I just want the stuff to sort out. So, it's funny, I shared a photo on YouTube, and I shared it on my Twitter account yesterday when I was thinking about breaking my fast. And I just put a photo of my face. Some of you might have seen that, and said what was going on, and that I was thinking about breaking my fast. What would you do? And so I had all sorts of comments on there, and I had someone on Twitter who said to me, looking at your face, it looks like you could do with gaining a few pounds. And I said to her, my face is really deceptive because I've still got plenty of pounds to lose. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. But I just, the weight thing for me is quite a big deal. I did a video just recently talking about my weight issues throughout my whole life and the whole body image thing and everything else. So it is a big deal for me, but also from the health point of view, it's a big deal too, because those fat cells are releasing things that they potentially shouldn't be, and just causing problems. And so I'd like to get rid of some of them. And so I'm 3 kilos down in just over a month, which is great, because I started losing some weight even before I started fasting. And because that's the other question, is like, do I need to fast to lose this weight now? Is my body ready to start dropping some weight? And if I just eat, is that going to happen? So yeah, I don't know. I may have to try that and see if the fasting isn't going to work for me. But yeah, I enjoy the fasting when it feels really good. It feels good being in that level of ketosis. It feels good on my brain and in my body. But maybe I just need to do some and not push it too hard. So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. So the other thing that I noticed with yesterday when I was had all this stuff going on was that my mood was really low. And that's another thing that histamine can affect. So histamine can cause depression and anxiety and panic attacks. I've spoken about that in the past. But yeah, just my mood being low is kind of a bit of a more unusual thing for me these days because I don't really have any issue with depression now on the carnivore diet, which is great. But yes, just feeling that kind of low, flat mood seems to be something that the histamine will create in me, which is not so good either. Yeah, so where am I at right now? My weight hasn't changed this week, and I'm taking a couple of supplements to help try to manage the histamine. So I've mentioned before I have ginger and stinging nettle tea in the morning, and I'm taking berberine, so I'm back taking berberine because it has antihistamine effects, and I've just upped my dose to 600 milligrams a day, and I've got the next lot of capsules of 500, so I'll drop it back again to 500, and then I'll see how I go with that. So I'm taking berberine. I've just started taking a natural form of vitamin C. I started that yesterday or the day before, and I'm taking about 500 milligrams of that. So not the synthetic or ascorbic acid sort, but a natural one that's, I think it's from acerola berry maybe. And so I'm taking about 500 milligrams of that a day, just because that all helps to break down histamine. And I tried eating kidney, but I couldn't do it. Just the taste of kidney, it just makes me want to gag. I seriously couldn't eat it. So if I'm going to do kidney, I need to do kidney supplements, and I may end up getting some more of those again. But I'd rather, I don't know. It's just a case of healing things up enough, I think, that my body can break the histamine down properly, and yeah, I think. But then, as I've said, I've got this genetic stuff going on, so I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm assuming that I can get it into a good enough place where I can just eat and not have to worry about it too much eventually. But yeah, right now it's a thing that keeps rearing its head for me. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. If you have got any comments or questions or suggestions or anything else, pop that below and I'll get to that as soon as I can. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like and share with anyone you think might be interested in what I'm talking about. And I thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you again another day. Goodbye for now.